Sue unlocks her apartment door after a long, tiring day at work. Her body aches, and all she wants is some peace. But as she steps inside, something feels off. She spots a pair of wooden shoes near the bedroom entrance. They aren't hers. Her heart jumps, and she freezes. Soft moans come from the bedroom, quiet but clear. Her hands start shaking, and her chest tightens. She walks closer without making a sound. The door is slightly open. Inside, her husband is in bed with another woman. Their bodies move together, lost in each other. The room is filled with heat and pleasure. Sue stands there, frozen. The pain hits her deep. Suddenly, she wakes up. Her back aches from the cold metal chair beneath her. She looks around. She isn't home. She's in the storage room at work. Her heart is still racing. It's the same nightmare again. She checks the time. Her break is almost over. With a sigh, she admits she must have dozed off. She opens the door and walks into the hallway. Before she reaches the front, her boss calls her. She responds quickly, already feeling a bit awkward for being caught spacing out. He asks her to come into his office. Inside, he hands her a thick envelope. It's the salary advance she asked for, 1.5 million won. He says she's a great worker and feels like family. He doesn't want to lose her. She bows deeply, full of gratitude. She quietly thanks him and slips the envelope into her worn coat. Before she leaves, he gently asks if money is still tight. She nods and says the interest rates are high and bills keep stacking up. He nods with understanding. He asks if her husband has found work. Sue forces a small smile and says he's still in training. He isn't earning much, but he's trying. Her boss pauses, then says someone like her deserves a partner who puts in just as much effort. Sue nods again and repeats that her husband is doing what he can. The talk ends and she returns to the shop counter. She puts on her usual calm, kind expression. A cheerful voice calls from a nearby table. A young couple asks for more pork belly. Sue replies politely and brings the extra food. As she sets down the plates, she hears them chatting. The boyfriend gives all the meat to his girlfriend. She teases him about it, and he just smiles, saying watching her eat is enough. Sue watches them for a second. There's real affection between them. They're happy, light-hearted, and full of love. A warm ache stirs in her chest. That kind of love is young and bright. Whether it lasts or fades, it glows. She misses it. The kind that fills your heart and lights up your world. Later, while clearing tables, Sue's co-worker throws her apron on a chair and groans. She says it's rude how customers keep calling Sue. Auntie Sue just laughs. It doesn't bother her. She's married after all. Her coworker pouts and gently pats Sue's cheek. She insists Sue is too pretty to be called that, even in plain clothes. She calls Sue the prettiest 33-year-old she knows. Sue smiles and tells her not to lay it on too thick. Her coworker just laughs and clings to her arm, saying she loves working with someone so pretty. Sue chuckles and tells her to go home and rest. That night, Sue returns to her apartment. The air stinks of alcohol. The floor is a mess of empty soju and beer bottles. Her husband sits in the middle, still drinking. She walks past him without saying anything and sets down the food she made. He doesn't even look at her. He tells her to wear makeup, says she looks bad without it. Sue sits on the floor across from him and says they can't afford makeup when rent is hard enough. He slams his bottle down and says even part-timers wear makeup, calling her lazy. She tries to explain that even small expenses scare her now. She's always worried about wasting money. He doesn't care. He tells her again to wear it. For him, his tone is cold. His words sting. She looks at the bottles and ashtrays around them and wonders when everything started falling apart. Their love feels old and broken, like something left to rot in a basement. He grumbles again, says the food isn't even good. Sue lowers her eyes. His words shrink her down. She wonders if she really has become ugly from his treatment, or if she just lost her shine trying to hold on to a love that gives her nothing back. The next morning, sunlight floods the flower shop. Sue dusts the shelves and trims flower stems. Her coworker flips through Sue's notebook and gasps. She lists all of Sue's part-time jobs: florist, motel counter, butcher shop. She jokes that Sue must run on magic. Sue doesn't pause. She just reminds her the shop needs to open. Her coworker shakes her head, amazed. She says Sue is incredible, always working. Sue keeps arranging flowers in silence. Work is all she knows. The only time she ever stopped was when the flu hit her hard. She remembers how her marriage started with her carrying the full weight. Her husband once knelt in front of her, head down in shame. He had taken a loan in her name. She had only asked how much. Instead of answering, he tried to hug her. But by then, her tears were long gone. She felt nothing. She decided to pay it off herself. Later, while she wipes the counter, a customer walks in. Her co-worker whispers that it's the rose guy, the handsome man who buys flowers every day. She wants to serve him, but he walks straight past her and stops in front of Sue. He lowers his mask and looks her in the eyes. He says he wants to order. Sue fumbles, guessing roses. He nods. His eyes are warm. He says he's glad she remembers. Her heart skips, not from fear, but something softer. Feeling uneasy under his gaze, Sue keeps her eyes on her hands and stays focused on wrapping the bouquet. The man sits quietly nearby, calm but intense. While she arranges the fresh flowers, her thoughts drift. She believes some people naturally stand out, like the main character in a movie. And then there are people like her, living quietly, fading into daily routines. A quick look tells her everything. He belongs in the spotlight, someone who draws attention without trying. She, with all her worries and quiet life, stays unnoticed. When the bouquet is ready, she hands it to him with a small smile. He takes it slowly, his eyes resting on her for a moment longer than usual, then walks out without another word. As the door shuts, Sue's co-worker rushes over, full of energy. She's sure the man comes in just to see Sue. Sue looks puzzled. She says she's never seen him before. Her co-worker stares in shock. She says the man has been coming in every morning for months. A faint memory flashes through Sue's mind. Maybe she did make a similar bouquet before. Her co-worker leans on the counter and says she still remembers a good-looking guy she once saw years ago on a subway. Sue doesn't relate. Her co-worker keeps teasing, saying the guy clearly likes Sue. Sue laughs it off. It sounds silly. Someone like him being interested in someone like her? He even looks younger. Her co-worker rolls her eyes and says age doesn't matter anymore. These days, younger guys date older women all the time. Sue chuckles again, not really buying it. She says if she's considered pretty, then all the really beautiful women must be gone already. Her co-worker frowns and says she means it. She's sure people compliment Sue all the time. Sue remembers a recent moment when someone said something nice to her, but it felt more polite than real. She smiled at the time, but deep down, it left her feeling strange. It just reminded her how far she's drifted from anything close to love. She softly says it feels strange when strangers are kind, while her own husband can't show any warmth. Her co-worker tries to cheer her up, saying maybe the rose guy is her second chance. Sue answers in a quiet voice, saying she already has someone in her life. Her co-worker is surprised and asks if she has a boyfriend. Sue nods with a faint smile. Her co-worker leans in, curious, wanting details. Sue simply says she doesn't think he'll be around much longer. The words settle in the air like dust. That night, Sue tidies the apartment. She picks up socks and empty wrappers, doing her best to control the mess. The door slams open. Her husband Minchell walks in, tossing his briefcase to the floor and groaning for water. He complains about not having anything decent to drink. Sue tells him the barley tea isn't cold enough. He tells her to add ice. On his way to the bathroom, he drops his clothes all over the place, not caring where they land. He says he's going to shower. Later, he lies beside her on the mattress. His tone changes, lighter, like he's trying to be close again. He reaches for her waist. She stays still with her eyes closed. He asks if she's awake. She says no. Then he wants to know why she isn't talking. He says they should be spending time together. Sue replies softly, saying she's tired. He gets annoyed. He sits up and says he works too. He says he's been doing all kinds of part-time jobs. Then he scoffs and says to forget it. He turns away, and silence takes over the room. Sue exhales and lets herself fall asleep. At 6 a.m. the next morning, Sue wakes up. Soft light comes through the window. The flower shop doesn't open until 8, but she always wakes up early to make breakfast for Minchell. She moves quietly, careful not to wake him with the sound of dishes. He's picky. He wants fresh soup, never leftovers, so she cooks something new every morning. She sets the bowls on the table and glances at the clock. A familiar sadness creeps in. The one who cooks always eats alone. At the flower shop, her co-worker greets her with a smile. Sue smiles back and walks to the storage room to put on her apron. She breathes in deeply and reminds herself to hold on until lunch. A few minutes later, the bell above the door rings. It's him again, the rose guy. Sue's heart beats faster. She greets him politely, and he says he's here for flowers. She asks if he wants the usual bouquet. He nods. As she works on the order, she notices his voice. It's smooth and deep. It sends a small chill down her spine. She hands him the receipt and tells him to wait a bit. He takes it, but then her stomach growls loudly. Her face turns red. The man says nothing, but soon he steps outside. Her co-worker watches him from inside. Outside, a well-dressed man gives him coffee and a sandwich. He moves with grace. He looks like someone out of a magazine. He comes back inside and sits quietly. A few minutes later, Sue finishes the bouquet and calls him. He walks over and takes it, ready to leave. But on the table, there's the sandwich. She runs after him, saying he forgot it. He turns around and smiles. He says it's for her. She pauses. He gently holds out the coffee too, saying he only took one sip. His eyes are kind. She stands there, frozen. He offers again. A soft warmth settles over Sue as her co-worker starts teasing her the moment she walks into the room. She says the man must have a thing for Sue. Otherwise, why would he leave such thoughtful items? Sue looks down at the coffee and sandwich in her hands. Her face shifts. Something feels off. It doesn't feel like interest. It feels more like pity. Her eyes drift toward the window where her reflection stares back. Tired face, messy hair, skin worn down by stress. Nothing about it feels attractive. Earlier that day, her stomach had growled in front of him. She figures he just felt sorry and gave her food out of kindness. Even so, something lingers in her thoughts. Maybe it wasn't pity, maybe there was something more. But she brushes the idea away quickly. She reminds herself not to build stories in her head. Dreams like that only help her pass the time, but they make reality harder. With a small sigh, she places the coffee back on the counter and tries to focus on the moment. Her co-worker watches and asks what she's going to do now. Sue answers vaguely, distracted. Her co-worker starts guessing. She thinks Sue has a boyfriend and is caught in a messy love triangle. But Sue clears it up. She's not dating anyone else. She's still living with her husband. Even saying the word feels heavy. Her co-worker blinks in surprise. Sue doesn't explain more, but an old memory slips in. Her husband, Minchell, once told her not to let people find out about their divorce. They had ended things because of debt, but he insisted they keep up appearances. No one needed to know the truth. There was no pride in it anyway. Back in the present, Sue simply confirms that yes, Minchell is her husband. Her co-worker awkwardly nods and moves on. Meanwhile, at Minchell's office, a young woman named Ari walks over with a big smile. She hands him a cup of coffee with a handwritten message on the side. It says something cheerful about working hard. He reads it and gives a small smile, quietly tucking the note into his thoughts. Later, during a smoke break with his co-workers, the group chats casually. They start talking about Ari, pointing out how pretty and full of energy she is. Someone mentions how perfect women in their 20s are. Clear skin, bright spirit, just the right age. Minchell stands with a cigarette in hand. His co-workers tease him, saying Ari lights up when she sees him. They nudge him to go for it. He stays quiet for a moment, then smirks. Maybe he will. That night at home, Minchell lies on the floor watching TV while Sue folds laundry nearby. She brings up work, trying to talk gently, but he quickly snaps, saying she's always nagging and only cares about money. She tries to explain. She's thinking about their debt and whether they should remarry once things are stable. Minchell brushes her off and complains that she keeps bringing it up. Then his mood shifts again. He slides closer and wraps his arms around her from behind. His touch feels soft, but his words feel off. He casually says he needs money. Sue asks what it's for. He says he wants cologne. Sue pauses. He's never cared about that before. He goes on about how the men in his office take care of themselves and he doesn't want to be left behind. When she asks how much, he says 200,000 won without blinking. She's stunned. That's a lot. He shrugs off her reaction and says he deserves something nice. When she doesn't answer, he sulks and turns back to the TV. Later that night, Sue sits at the table with a pen and notebook. She checks their budget. With all the money already spent on his new job, suits, shoes, the works, they're still behind. Even with her careful planning, it's not enough. She decides she has to take on more work. She figures she can add another shift. After her motel job on weekends, she can head to the convenience store at night. It's doable. Less sleep, but no overlap. She opens a drawer, pulls out some cash her boss gave her early, and places it on the table with a note. Buy the cologne. In her head, the same thought plays. Every day has 24 hours. Like puzzle pieces, she fits in as much work as she can. For her home, for the bills, for some version of peace she still hopes to reach. Across town, two men stand in a quiet alley. One of them, Bayon, mentions grabbing dinner. It surprises the other man. Bayon usually avoids loud places. He laughs and says he'll call some people. If Bayon shows up, others will follow. There's something new in Bayon's mood lately. He seems lighter, almost happy. At a local bar, the energy is loud and relaxed. At one table, a group of men raise their glasses and chat. One of them makes a bold claim. He says men love wives who give everything, women who serve their families, who live for others. Sue walks by, setting dishes on their table. The words sting. She wonders if she once had that kind of love with Minchul. Did she lose it? Was she never enough? Did her quiet loyalty fall flat? Her thoughts stop as her co-worker calls her to the front. She heads toward the entrance, then stops in her tracks. Standing at the door is a familiar face. The man from before. The one who left the sandwich and coffee. The rose guy. At the restaurant, a girl named Heji walks in with Biome and calmly asks Sue for a table for 4. Sue blinks in surprise, caught off guard for a moment. Then, as Heji repeats the number, Sue quickly regains focus and guides them to their seats. While she helps them settle, her mind drifts back to her co-worker's earlier words about Biome buying flowers just to impress her. She tries to ignore the thought, telling herself not to take it seriously. Still, something about the idea stays with her, pressing gently on her heart. If he really did hear those jokes at the flower shop, it would be awkward. As the group begins eating, Heji turns to Biome and notices he is not eating much. She lightly teases him, saying she expected this. Sue watches them from a distance. They seem comfortable, like people who have known each other a long time. A quiet thought crosses her mind. Maybe Heji is his girlfriend. Maybe the roses were for her. The questions come without warning, and Sue quickly tries to let them go. She scolds herself for even thinking about it. Soon after, Heji catches Biome glancing towards Sue. She pokes fun at him again, and one of their friends, Dongwook, groans. He rolls his eyes and accuses Heji of always acting like Biome matters too much when Biome clearly doesn't react. The small tension breaks when a few others laugh. Biome nudges Dongwook under the table, reminding him to check the grill. Dongwook mutters and turns back to the food. Curious now, Heji leans closer to Biome and asks why he keeps looking toward the woman behind the counter. Biome quietly replies that he knows her. Heji's expression shifts for a second. She looks surprised. Maybe she had her doubts before, but now it's real. The next day, Sue stays home doing laundry. While folding clothes, she notices a small tear in one of her dresses. Her chest tightens. She already knows Minchul won't like it. The dress isn't old, and she doesn't want to throw it away. So she sits down and starts sewing. A moment later, Minchul wakes up. He looks at the dress, makes a face, and mocks her for trying to wear something so worn out. He shakes it in his hands and throws in a comment about how the dress suits her, dull and stretched. Sue's hands tremble a little as she takes the dress back. Her thoughts run back to the flower shop, to those quiet moments that felt too soft to be real. She still feels guilty for even thinking of them. Minchul adds another comment, saying she always sounds gloomy. He walks over and wraps his arms loosely around her shoulders. He says she lacks charm, that she doesn't understand men. Still, he stays with her because no one else would. Sue stays still. She doesn't argue. She quietly agrees. Their apartment feels like a closed box. The walls are thin. The cold seeps in. Everything around her looks tired and worn. Still, Sue keeps moving through her routine. She tells herself it's all worth it. For him. From the kitchen, the TV announces rain for later in the day. Sue glances out the window. She searches the cabinet and finds 2 umbrellas. One is in good shape. The other has bent ribs. Without thinking, she takes the broken one, leaving the better one for Minchul. At the office, Minchul prepares coffee when Ari appears. She stands close beside him with a soft smile. She gestures toward the shelf, asking about the new coffee pack. As she reaches up, she gasps and grips his arm. A bug has startled her. She trembles against him. Her reaction, her nearness, it all feels fresh. Something about it pulls him in. Sue never acted like this. Ari's fear, her softness, makes the dull office feel new. Back at the flower shop, Sue's co-worker nudges her and whispers that he's late today. Sue asks who she means. Her co-worker giggles. It's obvious, the rose guy. She says seeing him always makes the day better. Just as the words leave her mouth, Biome walks past the window. The co-worker nudges Sue again and whispers that he just arrived. Sue's chest tightens. Without a word, she hurries to the back room, avoiding him. Biome notices her leaving. Inside, her co-worker greets him and asks if he wants something special or the usual bouquet. Biome quietly chooses the same as always. Later in the evening, Sue steps outside. Rain falls heavily, soaking the street. Her co-worker tells her to head home safely. Sue nods and lifts her eyes to the sky. At least she didn't run into him, she thinks. Still, she knows she can't keep running. These small moments won't last forever. She opens her umbrella, but the wind bends it instantly. The ribs snap, useless against the storm. She scolds herself for not checking it earlier. The store isn't far, but in this weather, it feels like miles. She reaches for her phone. For a moment, she thinks about calling Minchul, but she stops herself. He's tired. He'll only get irritated. Instead, she stands under a small awning, waiting for the rain to ease. The wind cuts through her coat, and the cold sets in. Just then, a figure steps close. An umbrella opens over her head. She looks up. It's Beom, holding it steady above them, the rain sliding off the edges. He asks where she lives. She hesitates, saying it's far, and she's fine. He glances at the sky. The rain is not stopping tonight. Calmly, without pressure, he suggests they share the umbrella. The rain keeps falling hard, and Sue hesitates, turning her eyes away. Even then, she shakes her head and refuses his help. Beom stays calm, his tone light, as if he already knows she will change her mind. After a short pause, she gives in and steps under his umbrella. They walk together, their shoulders nearly touching beneath the narrow cover. He stays quiet the whole time, which surprises her. The only sound around them is the steady rain. The silence feels peaceful, not awkward. He matches her steps, never rushing ahead. It feels easy, something she hasn't felt in a long time. Her thoughts slip to Minchul. He's also tall, but she always had to walk behind him, trying to keep up. This feels different. It feels balanced. She finally speaks, her voice low, worrying about how this might look. If he has a girlfriend, she might not be happy seeing them like this. He turns to her, still calm, and says he doesn't have one. She remembers the woman at the barbecue, but he says it's nothing serious, just friendship. His voice softens, and he leans closer, asking her to trust his words. She nods slowly. Her answer comes out quiet, unsure why it sounds so soft. Then, out of nowhere, a car rushes past them, splashing water across the sidewalk. Beom quickly pulls her into his arms. His back takes the hit. She stays dry. He lowers his head slightly, apologizing in a gentle tone. He only wanted to protect her. Her heart races, both from the splash and the sudden closeness. But something about him calms her down. He smiles and jokes about his height being useful for once. She gives a small laugh and agrees. They keep walking, but her thoughts run ahead. She keeps glancing at him, noticing how wet his coat is. Hers is still dry. This small act of kindness feels different. It feels honest. She wonders why he's going this far for someone he barely knows. She asks softly, wanting to understand. He answers with a light touch of charm, saying he has his reasons. He wants to get closer to her. She shakes her head quickly, rejecting the idea. He only laughs, not upset at all. She tries again, this time with a stronger tone. Why would a younger man care about someone like her? He just shrugs and says, age doesn't stop feelings. Some people like older women, that's all. Soon, they arrive at her apartment. She thanks him, hoping to end things there, but he looks at her again, this time more serious. He asks if they're really going to keep acting like strangers. She keeps her distance, sticking to what feels safe. He accepts that, nods quietly, and turns away. As he walks into the rain, her eyes follow him. Her chest feels heavy. She expected him to try harder, to stay longer, but he leaves without a fight. Back inside, her eyes fall on the umbrella she left for Minchul. It's still sitting by the door. He didn't take it. A mix of worry and quiet frustration rises inside her. She grabs it and tells herself she'll go pick him up. Maybe he'll notice the effort. Maybe it'll mean something. Outside his office, she waits under the building's awning. She calls him, but the phone goes straight to voicemail. She regrets coming without checking first. Just as she turns to leave, she sees him. He's walking out, sharing an umbrella with Ari. They're standing close, talking softly. Ari notices her and says something. Minchul looks surprised when he sees Sue. He walks over and awkwardly introduces Ari, calling her a family member. Ari smiles politely and leaves. Minchul takes the umbrella from Sue, acting like it's no big deal. Then he questions her, asking why she's here. His tone feels cold. He says she's acting strange, doing something out of character. His words hurt more than she expects. He quickly adds that Ari is just a co-worker. He laughs sharply, brushing off the situation. He asks if she really thinks every woman around him is a problem. They walk in silence after that, but her thoughts stay loud. Beom's voice from earlier keeps echoing. He said he wanted to know her. He looked at her like she mattered. That memory feels soft, like something rare. Compared to Minchul's harshness, it feels even more valuable now. She starts to wonder if she pushed something good away too soon. The next day, things at the flower shop are busy. Her co-worker leans on the counter, complaining about how many orders are piling up. She jokes that the only break she'd accept is if the rose guy shows up. He's the only customer worth the effort. Right then, the door opens. She groans, thinking it's another order, but freezes the moment she sees him. Beom walks in, calm and confident. He looks just as sharp as ever. Sue's heart beats faster. Their eyes meet. He doesn't say anything. He walks past her without a word. Still, something stirs in her chest, quiet but strong. Beom walks straight to the other counter. His steps are firm and his face is cold. He does not even look at Sue. He places his usual order like nothing ever happened. It feels like he truly took her words to heart. She said they should keep being strangers, and now that's exactly what they are. 2 weeks pass. Sue returns to her normal routine. She wakes up, goes to work, and comes back home. She stays surrounded by flowers, arranging them day after day. Her hands stay busy, but her thoughts often drift. At home, Minchul comes back late almost every night. Some weekends, he doesn't return at all. The silence between them keeps growing, but she never complains. Instead, she checks her phone and sends a short message. There's no reply. She lets out a slow breath, telling herself it's better that her feelings for Beom never grew too deep. Shallow feelings hurt less when they're gone. Still, something inside her feels empty. She waits each night, and when he doesn't show up, the quiet becomes heavier. One morning, while cleaning tables at the restaurant, she remembers falling asleep before he came home. She wonders if he even returned that night. Her head fills with quiet worry, but there's no time to think. A man nearby shouts for pork belly. She responds with her usual polite smile and walks over to take the order. His voice mixes with his friend's laughter. One man brags about his recent divorce, saying he finally feels free. Another leans toward a young female worker sitting nearby and makes a rude comment. He reaches out, touches her shoulder, and starts talking about how a man shouldn't go too long without a woman. His eyes drift over to Sue. She feels his stare, heavy and bold. He scans her body without shame, judging her silently. In his head, she's pretty enough, simple, maybe even thankful if someone like him gave her attention. He lifts his glass, asking her to pour him a drink. The man next to him offers instead, hoping to change the subject, but he refuses. He wants Sue to do it. Nothing else is good enough for him. Sue walks over, her face calm, but her back stiff with tension. The smell of alcohol hits her nose. She sees the red flush on his cheeks. She tries to step away, but his voice grows louder. He says he's someone important. The restaurant falls quiet. Everyone looks their way. Her manager rushes over, trying to calm things down. The man keeps shouting, saying this place survives because of him. He demands respect. His voice rises again, pointing at Sue. He wants her to kneel. Sue stands still. His words cut deep, not just for now, but for everything they represent. Men like him believe women like her should stay silent. His tone is full of control. Before anyone can stop her, Sue slowly kneels. She bows her head. Her voice stays calm as she apologizes. Her manager tries to pull her up, but she insists on staying down. Later that night, the manager finds her in the back. His face looks tired. He says she didn't have to go that far, but Sue simply explains. Running a business is hard. Losing even one group of customers could hurt the place. She does not want to make things worse. Her voice stays steady. She has been through worse before. This is nothing. Years of working taught her how to survive. Many nights ended with silent tears, with her hiding sadness under her pillow. But slowly, that sadness changed. It became something stronger. Quiet strength, hidden deep, but always with her. Outside, her manager offers her a ride home. She thanks him, but turns it down. She needs to head to her night shift at the convenience store. He looks surprised. He asks if she ever takes a break. She just smiles and says weekends are enough. He looks at her, then asks something that stays with her. Does she have a lot of debt? Her mind flashes back to that awful day. Debt collectors stormed in, breaking everything, yelling in her face. She had begged them to stop. Minchul had held her then, making promises. He said they would remarry once she paid it off. He promised peace. In the present, she simply answers, yes. As she walks to work, her thoughts linger. Even now, when the door creaks in the wind, her heart jumps. She always fears they'll come back. Still, she keeps moving, hoping for a day when all of this will end. Meanwhile, the drunk man walks into a quiet alley. He's laughing, still thinking about Sue kneeling. He believes he won. He thinks she belongs to him now. Next time, he plans to act sweet, trick her with charm, but he isn't alone. Beom follows behind him. His steps are quiet, eyes fixed on the target. When the moment comes, Beom hits him hard. The man falls. He tries to fight back, but Beom grabs him by the hair. His voice stays low and cold. The man punches back once, landing a hit on Biom's cheek. Blood runs down. Biom wipes it away slowly. Then, his expression changes. Each punch he throws comes with purpose, one after another. Each strike carries weight. Each one remembers how Sue was treated. The alley grows silent when it's over. That night, Sue stands behind the counter at the convenience store. The quiet feels peaceful. As she wipes the surface clean, the bell rings. A masked man enters. She greets him without thinking. He picks up some medicine. Something about him feels familiar. She looks closer. Then she notices the cheek, fresh bruising. Her heart skips. It's the Rose guy. It's Biom. Her thoughts race. Do they really live near each other? Her eyes follow him as he walks closer. That wound stays in her mind. Something deep inside her shifts. What happened to him? Sue kept staring at the fresh wound on Biom's cheek. It was a thin red line, cutting through the calm of his face. The sight bothered her. She reminded herself that they were nothing more than strangers, but the worry stayed in her chest. She tried to push it aside, focusing on the shelves and pretending to be busy. Still, her eyes kept returning to the small box of bandages on the counter. After a pause, she finally spoke. She said it didn't make sense to ignore a wound like that. He hadn't even cleaned it properly. Her voice came out with more feeling than she expected. Biom didn't act annoyed. Instead, he asked what he should do. There was something quiet in the way he spoke, almost like he was opening a door but unsure what was behind it. Sue blinked at the change in his tone. Then she walked out from behind the counter and motioned for him to follow. They stepped outside into the cool night air. A soft breeze passed by as they sat on the bench in front of the store. She placed the bandages and ointment between them. Biom stared at them, looking unsure, and admitted he didn't really know how to use them. Sue let out a soft breath, almost like a laugh. She took the ointment and gently touched his cheek with it. He flinched a little from the sting, then quickly said it just tickled. His honesty surprised her. It wasn't dramatic, just simple and real. She found herself smiling a little as she placed the bandage with care. Her curiosity grew. She asked about his age, but his answer was vague. She silently teased him in her thoughts, wondering how someone who claimed to be grown kept getting into trouble. When he mentioned poverty as the reason, her smile faded. His words pulled her into a memory. She knew that kind of weight. The tiredness in his eyes looked familiar. She no longer saw him as just a reckless man. Now, she saw someone who had been through a lot. In that moment, something soft passed between them. No big words, no promises, just a quiet understanding. Biom looked at her and asked if her heart was always this soft. She admitted it without thinking. As she finished covering his wound, she shifted in her seat, remembering something he once asked. He had wanted to know if they could ever be more than strangers. That time, she shut the door. But now, without meaning to, she opened it again. She told him she didn't mind getting to know him better. He looked surprised, then smiled with a hint of mischief. He asked if he could call her Nuna, something playful. She rolled her eyes and joked about being more like an auntie. They both laughed quietly. She saw something softer in his eyes. He thanked her. She asked why, but he said nothing. Inside, he thought he just felt sorry for her, but even he wasn't sure what that meant. They exchanged numbers. It felt both casual and personal. When she finally asked his name, he gave it, Biom. Later, Sue returned to the store and sat behind the counter. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Biom. He thanked her again. There was a small cat emoji beside his text. It made her smile. She stared at his name on the screen. It sounded unique, but somehow it suited him. For the first time in a while, something inside her felt new, like a door opening quietly. Even so, her eyes drifted to her last message to Minchel. It was still unread. There was no reply, no sign he had even looked at it. She tried to let it go. Maybe he was busy. Maybe life was just difficult. Maybe she was asking for too much. Somewhere else, Minchel sat at a crowded barbecue restaurant. His co-workers laughed loudly around him. Ari sat nearby. Drinks poured non-stop, and the noise filled the room. It was already the third round, but Minchel kept going. Home felt like a trap he didn't want to return to. One older co-worker kept offering drinks to Ari. She looked uncomfortable, but he pushed. The mix in her glass was harsh. Minchel reached out and switched it with something lighter. She accepted it, smiling at the small gesture. Soon, another co-worker leaned in and started teasing. He wanted to know what kind of women Minchel liked. Instead of a clear answer, Minchel described the kind of woman he didn't like. His words cut sharply. The picture he painted sounded far too familiar. Dull, quiet, worn out, emotionless. Laughter filled the table. Ari laughed too, but something inside her turned uneasy. When the night ended, only Ari and Minchel were left standing on the street. She leaned against him, unsteady from the drinks. He asked for her address and said he'd call a taxi, but she stayed close. She placed her head on his chest. Her words came out soft and unsure. She wanted one more drink. Her eyes looked up at him, full of affection and confusion. Minchel looked down at her, unsure how to respond. His heart beat faster, but he stayed quiet. Inside the quiet convenience store, Sue sits alone, her eyes flicking anxiously to her phone again and again. A heavy, invisible pressure wraps itself around her chest. The night shift comes to a close, and as dawn begins to break, Sue finishes her duties and offers a tired goodbye to the colleague taking over. The early morning air outside bites at her skin, and exhaustion pulls at every muscle in her body. All she can think of is getting a few hours of rest before she heads back to the flower shop later. Entering her dim apartment, she notices that Minchel has not returned. The silence in the space reminds her of a distance she does not want to admit is growing. Elsewhere, Minchel remains lost in the soft haze of a motel room, surrounded by a world that seems far removed from the one Sue lives in. Time slips by slowly, heavy with choices he chooses not to acknowledge. When Sue eventually dials his number, her chest tightens with worry, but her voice remains steady. The next morning, Minchel talks casually, his tone light and unbothered. He mentions a company dinner and casually lies about crashing at a bathhouse overnight. The words cut deeper than he realizes. When Ari appears beside him, he quickly excuses himself and ends the call. Inside the stillness of her home, Sue hugs her arms around herself. The knot of worry she had been trying to suppress returns full force. A quiet whisper inside tells her this is not just about one night. It's the distance, the neglect, the slow unraveling of trust. She tries to brush it off, convincing herself that everything is fine, but deep down, she knows that nothing is. Elsewhere, Beom walks through the quiet corridors of a school, stopping a timid student as he exits a classroom. The boy, Jihu, looks startled to see him, surprised that someone like Beom would remember his name. Their worlds seem too different, too far apart. Yet Beom greets him with easy familiarity, speaking casually, as if they are old friends. Then, without hesitation, Beom asks to swap shoes. Jihu stares in disbelief at the request, unsure what to think. His own worn sneakers are simple and cheap, while Beom's designer shoes look far too expensive to be exchanged so freely. Still, Beom insists. In a quiet moment of kindness or mystery, they switch. Jihu watches Beom walk away in his old shoes, confused and oddly touched. There is something about the man that feels lonely, burdened by unspoken thoughts. Later, in a small cafe bathed in soft light, Beom sits alone, earbuds in, eyes half-lidded as music plays. Hiji arrives, slipping into the seat beside him, casually borrowing one earbud. They sit side by side, sharing silence and sound, her head gently leaning toward his. Her eyes drift down to his unfamiliar shoes, and she comments on the odd choice. He simply smiles, brushing off her teasing. Outside the cafe, some guys, including Dongwook, catch sight of them through the glass. One of them reacts with open jealousy, muttering curses about Beom's good looks and the attention he draws. The other mocks the bitterness, reminding him that not everyone can compete with someone like Beom, especially when charm and appearance come so naturally. Back at the flower shop, Sue's co-worker offers a sheepish smile, apologizing for a mistaken assumption. She admits she thought the rose guy liked Sue, but now he only seems to order from her instead. Sue forces a smile, brushing the comment aside. In truth, she knows it does not matter. What they shared exists quietly between them, something not meant for public eyes. There's no need to explain. Her co-worker continues to gush about the rose guy, unaware of Sue's thoughts, excitedly daydreaming about when he might come back. Sue simply watches, choosing to stay silent. There's something sweet about the other woman's excitement, something worth protecting. She lets it be, keeping her own emotions folded safely away. Just then, the door chimes softly as Beom walks in. His bruised face catches her co-worker's attention instantly, who gasps in surprise at the sight of his injuries. Despite the visible cuts, Beom walks steadily to the counter, eyes locked with Sue's. There's a hint of a smile in his expression, something familiar and reassuring. Sue stands still, her heart thudding softly in her chest. He tells her his usual order with that same warm confidence, and she responds quickly, reaching for the roses. He lingers beside her, watching as she selects each stem with careful hands. A quiet tension lingers between them, intimate yet unspoken. Beom teases her lightly, standing getting a bit too close, his voice low as he watches her work. She gives him a cold, sharp glance, reminding him this is a shop, not a playground. But his smile only grows. He seems to enjoy her irritation, as if each scolding is another thread weaving them closer together. Her coworker stares in disbelief, trying to make sense of what's unfolding before her. The two, who had once seemed like strangers, now act like something else, something more. As Sue finishes wrapping the bouquet, Beom leans in once again, his eyes never leaving hers. As soon as Sue finishes her shift at the flower shop, she steps outside with Beom walking quietly beside her. He had earlier asked about her evening plans, and she now informs him that she has to head directly to her second job. There's a lightness in his expression, as if he already knows this answer. When she looks at him questioningly, he reminds her that they had met once at that barbecue place, though she had forgotten at first. The memory returns to her slowly, and a faint frown crosses her face. They begin walking down the street together, the night air cool and still. Beom notes how little they actually know about each other, yet how busy her life already seems. She simply responds that all adults are busy. He sighs softly and remarks that if that's adulthood, then perhaps he does not want to grow up. She glances over, noticing how the exhaustion appears on his face, making him look older than usual. She wonders if all young men carry such weariness. As he catches her watching him, he questions her gaze. She suddenly shifts the topic and asks if he's over 190 centimeters tall. He nods with a curious smile, and she casually claims she only asked out of interest. But deep inside, her thoughts drift to Minchell's height. For years, she had chosen his clothes, his underwear, everything. As they near the convenience store where her second job waits, he asks if he can accompany her to the door. She agrees. While walking, she notices his shoes, clearly worn, slightly large, and obviously not his usual style. She wonders why he spends money on flowers when he could be using it on something more practical, like proper shoes. With genuine curiosity, she questions his choice. He answers with a calm certainty that stays with her, reminding her that even if one is poor, there is no rule against buying beauty. His words, quiet and steady, fill a silent place in her heart that has long been gray. She realizes how much she had judged him without meaning to. A warm sense of shame settles inside her, followed by an unexpected clarity. She thanks him for the walk, and in return, he gives her a gentle suggestion that perhaps they should meet more often. Somewhere else, Ari stands in the hallway outside Minchell's office, wondering where he went. As she wanders through the building, she hears voices around a corner and hides quietly to listen. A group of co-workers share vulgar commentary about her, assuming she's just another conquest. Their tone drips with jealousy and assumptions, reducing her to something shallow and disposable. One of them mocks older women, insisting only young women are worth pursuing before they turn cold and bitter. Minchell, overhearing the conversation, grows cold with contempt. He approaches the speaker, a man who's remained an assistant manager for years, and ridicules his lack of growth and maturity. His sharp tone and imposing presence leave the man speechless. Without raising his voice, Minchell dismisses him and walks away, unbothered by the weight of confrontation. Later, Minchell leans on the railing of the stairwell, lost in thought. He scoffs silently at how some men reduce everything to games and control. Just then, Ari appears and rushes into his arms, overwhelmed by her feelings. She kisses him with longing, feeling the warmth and possession of being held tightly. For her, this moment feels certain. This man, she believes, belongs to her. At home, Sue places a warm meal on the table and leaves a note for Minchell, reminding him to enjoy his favorite dish. Then she quietly leaves for her night shift at the hotel, but Minchell is far away, sharing a meal with Ari, oblivious to the quiet love waiting at home for him. While at the hotel, Sue receives a message from Beom, wishing her luck for the night. His message includes a playful cat emoji that makes her smile. His presence feels innocent, almost like a ray of light touching her worn heart. She thinks about how surprising it is that someone like him, so young and seemingly carefree, buys flowers for himself. There's something rare and refreshing about him. Outside the hotel, Beom keeps watch, leaning against a wall as if waiting for something. or someone. Beside him stands a sharply dressed man speaking quietly into a phone. Inside the lobby, a drunk customer comes to the front desk where Sue is working. He throws down his ID, mistaking it for a credit card, and demands a room. She patiently explains that she needs proper payment. The drunk man grows irritable, slurring inappropriate requests. Before the situation can worsen, the suited man from outside enters the hotel and swiftly steps in. With quiet confidence, he hands over a real credit card and books every available room in the hotel. His tone is brief, commanding, and leaves Sue speechless. Outside, the drunk stumbles out, mumbling insults. Beom watches him carefully, reading his every move before silently following him into the shadows. Back inside, the hotel manager tells Sue that business is unexpectedly good that night. All the rooms booked. Grateful, she tells her to go home early. For once, Sue feels lighthearted. As she walks through the darkened streets, she enjoys a sense of peace, a rare relief from her usual exhaustion. But when she reaches her apartment, her eyes land on the meal she left for Minchul, untouched, cold, forgotten. The sight brings an ache she did not expect. That small, loving gesture sits there in silence, reminding her of how little she receives in return. And though she does not realize it yet, this moment marks the quiet beginning of something much heavier, a sorrow that is only just unfolding. Over the next few days, Beom's messages arrive like gentle whispers in the middle of Sue's long, draining shifts. They come without warning, short, simple, yet strangely comforting. One morning, she unlocks her phone and sees a message reminding her to dress warmly because the weather has turned cold. Another time, while she's working her shift at the bar, a gentle buzz draws her attention. He tells her not to work too hard and reminds her to rest. To her, his words are like a sudden hint of spring, brushing against the sleeves of her tired, worn life. At a noisy club, Beom lounges on a velvet sofa beside Dongwook. Music pounds, lights swirl, but he is only half present. His attention stays on his phone screen, where Sue's unread messages rest. A faint smile lingers on his lips. Dongwook notices this change and teases him, wondering what could possibly make someone like Beom smile like that. Without responding, Beom continues to scroll, his eyes locked on the screen. Sue has not answered his call, and strangely, instead of frustration, amusement warms his chest. It's not something he expects, but it stays with him. Meanwhile, Sue prepares dinner alone in their cramped apartment. As she stirs a pot of seaweed soup, Minchul slips in behind her. He slides his arms around her waist, nuzzling close, and asks what she's making. She gives a soft response, not turning around. His presence lingers close, his lips brushing her ear as he leans in. She feeds him a spoonful of soup, the heat of it cooled by her gentle breath. He praises her efforts with lazy ease. Though she smiles faintly, his thoughts drift elsewhere. Minchul watches her quietly. Despite his infidelity, she remains consistent, almost unchanged, always moving through their shared life with quiet resignation. She asks him if something is wrong, sensing his detachment. He brushes it off, then thanks her for the money she gave him earlier to buy perfume. When she asks if he bought it, he lies and says no, claiming guilt over spending her hard-earned money. She tells him it's fine, and he stares at her, so simple, so kind, so easy to lie to. Without a warning, his hands slip under her shirt, pulling her closer in a familiar, practiced way. Her body tenses, caught off guard. She quietly protests, reminding him of her upcoming shift, but he continues, touching her as if her discomfort is an inconvenience. Her voice becomes firmer, reminding him she cannot be late. Finally, he steps back, lifting his hands as if in apology, saying she can go. She adjusts her shirt quickly, relief washing over her face. He watches her with a strange detachment, thinking of her as a flower, one he picked without much thought. Beautiful, but predictable. She has no more thorns. Later, as Sue walks to her job, Minchul lies on the floor, scrolling through his phone. Ari's messages appear on his screen, teasing and playful. He responds with easy charm, telling her he misses her. When she asks to meet, he considers it. He thinks of the perfume he had planned to buy, then remembers a different shopping trip, one with Sue. She had admired a handbag once, lifting the price tag with hopeful eyes. But the moment she saw how expensive it was, she had quickly put it down and walked away, pretending she did not care. He had mocked her silently then, thinking how far removed she was from the world of luxury. Ari, by contrast, fits that world effortlessly. Without hesitation, he replies to her invitation, choosing indulgence over loyalty. Elsewhere in the city, Beom meets a man in a dark alley. The man hands him a folder filled with photographs, private moments captured between Mincheol and Ari, laughter, touches, close whispers, evidence of betrayal printed in glossy color. Beom takes a lighter from his pocket and one by one sets the photos ablaze. Flames curl around the edges, devouring the secrets until nothing remains but ash floating in the air. At the hotel, Sue fights sleep behind the front desk, her eyes heavy from lack of rest. She checks her phone and sees a message from Beom asking if he can meet her briefly. Concern rises in her chest. Maybe something happened, she wonders, thinking back to the bruises she had once noticed on his face. She decides she'll meet him while walking to her next job, hoping the movement will help her stay awake. When she exits the hotel, she finds Beom waiting just outside, his figure tall and still in the dim light. He's dressed all in black today, his coat long and elegant, his face quiet and unreadable. She notices how different he looks, more mature, more mysterious. His presence unsettles her in a way she does not quite understand. They begin walking, side by side, and he offers to accompany her to the convenience store. She accepts, surprised that he already knew her destination. As they move through a narrow, dim alley, he remarks on how unsafe it feels at night. She brushes off the concern, reminding him she's an adult, unafraid. But he confesses, in a low voice, that he is afraid. She turns to look at him, startled. His height, his build. He looks like someone who could shield her from anything. Then, he steps behind her, matching her pace, his presence like a quiet shadow. He offers to walk behind her, like a barrier between her and the world. She agrees, a tiny smile ghosting across her lips. As they walk, his eyes fall on the faint marks along her neck. Gently, without words, he places a hand on her shoulder. He gently tells her it looks like a bite, maybe from a mosquito. She laughs awkwardly, knowing it's from Mincheol, not a bug. It happened when he pulled her close that morning, but she stays quiet. Her cheeks grow warm, and she quickly agrees with Beom's guess. He takes out a small band-aid and gently places it over the mark. His hands are soft, and his expression is careful. Sue feels a strange relief. He is kind and innocent. If it were anyone else, they might have guessed the truth. Beom suddenly asks her why she never replies to his messages. She turns, surprised. She says she saved his number, but he gently tells her that's not what he meant. He wanted to know why she never responds. His voice is calm, but holds a quiet hurt. He mentions being sore from getting hit recently, hoping she might ask if he's okay. Sue stands still, remembering all the messages. Short, sweet, thoughtful. She realizes she never knew how to reply. It's the first time someone sent her such warm, honest words. She never expected to be the kind of person someone would worry about. His quiet confession that her silence made him sad touches something deep in her heart. Now, for the first time, she understands what it feels like to wait for a message that does not come. She softly tells him she just did not know how to respond. She never had a friend like him before. She wonders aloud if it's boring being close to someone much older. Beom simply smiles. He tells her not to feel pressure. He reached out because he wanted to. If she ever wants to answer, she can, but only if she wants to. His words make her feel warm and safe. A light breeze seems to lift the heaviness inside her chest. Later, at the flower shop, Sue finishes her shift. Her boss thanks her kindly. Just as she is about to leave, Sue picks up a single red rose. She gently asks to buy it. Her boss offers to give it for free, but Sue insists on paying. She says it's a gift for herself. She smiles and walks home holding the flower carefully, as if it's something fragile and special. At home, she places the rose into a glass jar filled with water. The sight of it makes her tiny apartment feel just a bit more alive. She stands back, looks at it, and snaps a picture with her phone. Then she pauses, wondering whether to send the photo to Beom. It feels small and maybe silly, but part of her wants to share this tiny moment. After a short thought, she sends the picture to him. Meanwhile, Mincheol walks down to their apartment, still talking to Ari on the phone. He tells her he's stopping by just to change clothes. He laughs lightly and says he'll wear something more comfortable. He ends the call before opening the door. Inside, he sees Sue sitting quietly on the floor. In front of her, the rose sits in its glass jar. She looks peaceful, as if lost in thought. Mincheol looks confused to see her home. She tells him she's just here for a moment. He walks past her toward the bedroom, unbothered, and starts looking for his clothes. She stands and offers to help him find his things. He says it's fine, but his eyes fall on the rose again. He asks why she bought it. She answers quietly, "It's just one flower, just something small to brighten the room, something simple, just for herself." Something in Minchel stirs. It's faint, unfamiliar, maybe a trace of guilt or affection. He walks up to her and gently holds her face. Without a word, he kisses her. His lips are soft but firm. She closes her eyes, surprised by his sudden warmth. He deepens the kiss, sliding his hands down her back and pulling her closer. They move slowly to the floor. His hands trace her body with a familiar touch, kissing her neck and brushing his fingers along her skin. Sue pauses. She gently tells him it's not a safe time. She reminds him it might be risky. Minchel's face darkens for a second. His voice grows cold. He tells her not to worry, but she still hesitates. His frustration rises, and he pulls away suddenly. Without saying more, he walks off, leaving her on the floor, her heart sinking in silence. Later that night, Biom receives the picture of the rose. A soft smile appears on his face. His thoughts drift towards Sue. But just then, two girls spot him on the street. They act surprised to see him in a neighborhood like this. They tease him, saying it's strange he's here. One says she misses him. Biom only watches them quietly, his expression unreadable. Inside his heart, he thinks about fate. Maybe there are no coincidences. Maybe everything is already decided, like threads tied together, pulling people into each other's lives no matter how far they begin. Back in the apartment, Sue is doing laundry. She picks up one of Minchel's shirts and folds it neatly, but then her hand freezes. On the collar is a faint stain. Lipstick, red. She stares at it, not moving. Her body turns cold. Far across town, Minchel meets Ari by the road. She steps out of her car with a cheerful smile, asking what they will eat for dinner. But Minchel does not answer. He simply opens the car door, pulls her inside, and kisses her deeply in the back seat, holding her down gently with his body. At the same time, Sue works her shift at a barbecue restaurant, but her thoughts are far away. Her mind keeps returning to the lipstick mark she saw on Minchel's shirt. Her heart feels tight. Her hands shake a little as she serves food, and her eyes look empty. She keeps telling herself that it is nothing, just an accident. Maybe someone brushed past him. Maybe it means nothing. Then suddenly, a glass slips from her hand and crashes to the floor. Her coworker rushes over, worried, but Sue gives a weak smile and bends down to pick up the pieces. She thinks of Minchel's old words, when he told her not to worry so much. Still, it is hard to hold back the tears. Her heart feels like it is cracking, little by little. Later that night, Sue is at the convenience store. She rings up items for a young woman who is loudly talking on the phone. The girl speaks angrily, saying her friend's boyfriend cheated. She says couples without kids face too many problems, and maybe it's not always the woman's fault. Maybe the man is to blame too. Sue listens quietly as the woman walks out. The girl's words stay in her mind. Pain she tried to hide starts to rise again. Before, work helped her forget sadness. But today, every sad feeling she buried is coming back. It hurts in a way she cannot explain. She sits on a small stool behind the counter, lost in thought. She always dreamed of a happy tomorrow with Minchel, but now she is not sure where they are. Her chest feels empty. She wonders if love has left. Just then, a motorcycle stops outside. Biom sits quietly on the bike, watching her through the glass. His face is hidden behind his helmet. He feels a quiet ache in his heart. He wants to make her pain go away. He walks inside and stands in front of her. He does not say anything. He just looks at her with soft eyes. Sue lifts her head and sees him standing there without picking anything to buy. She finds it strange. He looks tall and familiar. Her mind connects the shape of his body to Biom. Suddenly, he lifts his phone and shows her a message. "Can I call you Nuna?" She gives him a playful, scolding look, but he remains still. Finally, he removes his helmet. Sue sees his face and realizes it's Biom. She asks about the helmet and he tells her he just finished work. She asks about his job and he shrugs as if it's nothing special. She looks at him with worry. Delivery jobs can be dangerous and she hopes he stays safe. Her voice softens and he teases her about caring. Sue laughs a little as she tells him to raise his hands and stand straight like a student being punished. He actually does it, standing still with a small grin. She finds his behavior silly but charming. She asks why he came. He tells her he's hungry. She frowns a bit, asking if he did not eat. He shakes his head. Sue thinks about his job and how hard it must be. She feels upset that someone would treat an employee like that. But Biom does not seem bothered. Still, she decides he needs to eat. Sue reaches up and grabs some instant meals from the shelves. She says she'll buy something for him. Beom looks surprised and a bit shy. He says he eats a lot. She tells him to pick two. He smiles, touched by her offer, and agrees. He places one hand on the wall beside her and leans down to look at the food. He tells her to choose the most delicious one for him. As he leans in, Sue notices a small tattoo on his wrist. Her eyes linger there. She asks about it softly, curious about it. Her eyes follow the shape of the mark. Beom looks at Sue with surprise as she points at his wrist. Her eyes are gentle, but her curiosity is clear. Slowly, Beom rolls up his sleeve, revealing the faint tattoo that lies above an old scar. For a moment, he wonders if she dislikes tattoos. He feels unsure, thinking maybe it makes him look rough or dangerous. But her gaze is soft, and she holds his hand gently, touching the scar with care. She does not speak, but her concern shows clearly. His heart beats fast as he watches her expression. She looks calm, but there is emotion in her eyes. It almost feels like she might cry, and that thought stirs something strange inside him. A part of him wants to tease her, just to see that worried face a little longer, but he stops himself. He does not want to hurt her. Quietly, he tells her that the scar is from an accident. She seems unsure but lets it go for now. Sue hands him a different pack of noodles from the shelf, one that costs more. She wants him to eat better tonight. Beom is surprised but smiles as he accepts it. He sits nearby, eating his meal, and often looks at her while she works. Her presence makes the heavy feeling in his chest lighter. He knows she is tired, yet she still worries about him. This feeling is new, but not unpleasant. She brings a kind of calm he has not felt before. Far from there, Minchul lies in bed with Ari. She rests against him, full of affection and dreams. She talks about marriage, imagining a future with him. He listens without much emotion. He did not expect her to speak about marriage so soon, but she seems sincere. He pats her shoulder and offers a light smile, unsure how to respond. She says she wants to settle down and reminds him that he is at the right age for marriage. He listens, still unsure. Ari is younger, full of hope, and comes from a good background. She is soft, smells of expensive perfume, and is nothing like Sue. He thinks about Sue for a moment. Life with her has been simple but full of silent weight. Ari is different, light and carefree, someone who believes love can fix anything. When she asks if he ever dreams of having a family, he feels a strange bitterness rise in his chest. He once had that dream too, but Sue said she could not have children. And even if she could, their life together had been too hard to think about raising a child. He says he gave up on that dream long ago, but Ari holds him tighter and whispers that he should not give up. Her warmth presses against him, trying to chase away his doubts. Somewhere else in the city, Beom stands on a tall rooftop. The wind brushes against him as he stares down at the glowing city. He raises his wrist and looks at the tattoo again. A faint saying is written there, something deep, something painful. A man beside him says it looks like a Buddhist quote. Beom tilts his head, unsure if the man is right. He remembers the moment Sue saw the scar beneath his tattoo. She had seen it right away, without trying. That thought makes his chest tighten. She saw through him, not with effort, but with quiet care. As he looks at the words inked into his skin, he repeats them in his mind. The source of all suffering is attachment. The pain is already there, he knows. He tried to wait, to let things unfold on their own, but he understands now that it is too late. His heart is already attached, and the ache is already growing. That night, Sue walks home after work. Her legs feel heavy, and her heart feels even heavier. Her thoughts are cloudy. As she nears her street, she spots a man she once saw at the restaurant. He had made her uncomfortable before. Now, seeing her, he freezes and runs away down an alley. She watches him disappear, puzzled by his strange behavior. She wonders why he would act like that. Her thoughts return to the lipstick stain on Minchul's shirt. The image clings to her mind like a shadow she cannot shake off. At home, the lights are dim. Minchul lies asleep in bed, his breath slow and steady. She stands by the door, watching him. He looks peaceful, and she tries to tell herself that he is just tired from work. Maybe that's why he sleeps early now. Maybe nothing is wrong. She wants to believe it, but her heart is uneasy. She turns her eyes toward the bedside table, where his phone rests. The screen lights up quietly in the dark. A name flashes across it, and it is Ari. Sue sees Minchul's phone light up beside the bed. The screen shows a name she does not want to see. Her heart tightens as she watches it. She hesitates, her hand floating above the screen, full of confusion and doubt. She wonders if she should answer, but fear stops her. She wants to ask this woman why she is calling so late at night. Is she just a co-worker, or is there something more? Her thoughts swirl inside her, but she does nothing. The call ends, the screen goes dark. She clenches her hands, telling herself it must be work. But deep inside, she knows something is not right. At the flower shop, Sue quietly arranges flowers. Her co-worker walks over, full of excitement. She shows her a photo of a bride in a white wedding dress. Sue looks at the smiling face in the photo. Her co-worker talks about weddings, dresses, and dreams. She asks Sue about her own marriage. Sue remembers her simple wedding at the registrar's office. No dress, no party, just a quiet paper and a few simple words. Minchell had joked about going out to eat. He had promised a big wedding someday, a beautiful dress and a ring with a big diamond. Sue had smiled and believed him. She had imagined herself in white, walking on a beach in Hawaii. But now, none of those dreams have come true. Even so, she tries to believe. She hopes their hearts still stay together. Far away, Biom stands on a rooftop, looking over the city lights. He checks his phone, but there are no messages from Sue. He sighs, wondering if she is still thinking about Minchell. His heart feels heavy. He thinks about their time together and wishes she would look at him. His guard comes over, trying to be friendly. Beom gives a playful answer, but his smile fades. His words grow darker. He asks strange questions. The guard grows nervous, unsure if Beom is serious. Beom laughs and walks to the edge of the rooftop. The guards whisper about him. One of them says he looks just like the chairman. The other nods, saying it makes him uneasy. Beom stands alone, quiet, the wind brushing past him. At the restaurant, Sue serves food quietly. Her eyes drift to a nearby table where two women talk. One of them is crying. She talks about a man who changed suddenly. He used to be lazy and cold, but now he buys expensive things and works hard. The woman believes it is all for his ex. Her pain is raw. Her friend tries to comfort her. She tells her not to cry and to move on. As Sue listens, her chest grows tight. The words hit her deeply. Is Minchell like that now? Is he changing for someone else? Her thoughts grow louder. She remembers the late nights, the distance, the coldness. She tries to hold herself together, but the pain is too strong. Her heart aches and she cannot breathe properly. Her boss notices her pale face. He tells her to go home and rest. She nods, gathering her things. She steps outside and the air feels heavy. Her chest hurts. Her breath comes fast and uneven. She starts to run. In her mind, she hears Beom's voice. He once told her to do what she wants. That memory feels strange and strong. It gives her a kind of push she does not expect. For once, she decides to follow her feelings. She runs toward Minchell's office building, not caring about money or pride. Her feet take her there quickly. She stops outside, unsure of what to do next. She has never been here before. The large building looks cold and unfamiliar. She hesitates, staring at the entrance. Just then, a security guard walks up to her. He asks why she is here. She tries to answer, but her voice is weak. She says she is here to see Minchell. The man looks at her with surprise. He asks about her relationship to him. She answers carefully, saying she is family. The guard looks doubtful, but after a moment, he decides to let her in. He leads her into the building. Her legs feel heavy with every step. Her heart pounds louder and louder. The guard asks another person if Minchell is still there. As she's led into the office, everything feels cold and unfamiliar. Minchell sits at his desk, distracted until the guard speaks. When he finally notices Sue, surprise flashes across his face. He stands and quickly steps out, pulling Sue by the arm. She follows without protest, her wrist tightening under his grip. He leads her to the terrace with growing frustration, his hold firm and his anger spilling out. The pressure of his hand makes her flinch, but he does not stop until they are outside. Once on the terrace, Minchell pushes her back against the wall. His voice rises, filled with accusation. Sue stammers, but he demands answers. Her fear builds as his tone sharpens, the pain in her arm matched only by the sting of his words. She tries to explain herself, but her voice trembles. Her heart pounds. Memories of old wounds return. Loud voices, harsh stares. She shakes under his gaze. Eventually, she gathers her strength and confesses what brought her there. She remembers the lipstick on his shirt. She does not wear makeup. It was not hers. She needs to know who it belonged to. Minchell's expression darkens. His voice turns cruel. He mocks her questions, accusing her of jealousy, of being crazy. Her heart sinks further with each cutting word. He dismisses her pain like it's nothing. The hope she held begins to fade. He turns away and tells her never to return. Stunned and hurt, Sue walks away. Her feet move without thought. Her mind is clouded. She wanders the streets aimlessly until she bumps into a couple. The man curses her, calling her strange. His girlfriend stares at Sue with judgment, but Sue barely hears them. At that moment, Beom appears. His shoulder crashes into the rude man and the man winces in pain. The tension rises for a second, but Beom remains cold and threatening. The man backs off, surprised by Beom's strength. Sue, unaware of the scene behind her, continues walking. She does not notice Beom following her from a short distance. Beom watches her in silence, counting the space between them shrinking. 10 steps away, he can almost reach her, but she's still lost in thoughts of another man. He wonders why she never sees him, why her eyes always search for someone else. He's tried so hard to be good, to hide his feelings, but a part of him wants to be noticed. He's tired of being a shadow in her life. Sue's phone buzzes with a message from Minchul. He tells her to go home before the rain starts, but she does not move. The sky darkens and the rain begins to fall. Heavy drops soak her hair, but she does not care. Her heart already feels too heavy to notice the cold. Standing in the rain, her tears mix with the downpour. She breaks. Her sobs echo in the silence. Her hands cover her face as she cries, her body curling inward. Beom watches her quietly, unable to reach out. His heart aches. He remembers when she patched up his wounds, how she once believed he had not gone down the wrong path. Her kindness had touched something deep inside him, but life continues to hurt them both. The next morning, Sue's eyes are swollen. She arrives at work trying to smile, but her co-worker notices. She brushes it off, saying she had spicy ramen. Her excuse sounds silly, but she cannot bring herself to explain. Her phone shows only 10 minutes left until opening. She realizes Minchul never came home last night. She had hoped for peace. She wanted to apologize, maybe cook a quiet meal to mark their wedding anniversary. She even thought about adjusting her schedule. But now, those ideas feel distant, like fading dreams. Just then, a cup of warm coffee appears in front of her. She looks up to see Beom. He stands there, watching her with a quiet expression. His presence feels steady, almost comforting. He watches her, pretending to wait for a scolding that never comes. Instead, she tells him that scolding him only drains her energy. He looks at her closely, as if trying to understand her mood. Beom jokes lightly, but Sue does not smile. She suddenly becomes serious and tells him not to visit this Friday. Her expression is calm, but distant. She mentions that it is her wedding anniversary and that she plans to spend it with her husband. The words land heavily between them. Beom does not flinch, but his eyes darken for a moment. She observes him quietly, realizing that he never knew she was married. Beom admits that he had guessed the truth but never asked. He reflects on the simple things he did for her, buying coffee, picking her up, and wonders if her husband ever felt jealous. Sue shakes her head softly. She tells him that those things are common between friends. She wants to remind him of boundaries, but her voice carries the weight of emotions she does not fully understand. Beom looks at her quietly. In his heart, he knows she is kind, but also lost. He holds back words that ache to be said. He decides not to contact her again this week. Sue is caught off guard, but says nothing to stop him. Beom turns and walks away, his footsteps light but his thoughts heavy. Elsewhere, Minchul lies lazily in bed while Ari gets ready nearby. Her thoughts drift to a recent conversation with a friend. She had proudly described Minchul's appearance and energy. Her friend had teased her, but also asked why a man like that was still single at his age. Ari had not thought about it before. As she finishes dressing, she asks Minchul if she can visit his home. He hesitates, unsure of how to respond. He does not want her to see the life he hides. His thoughts drift to Sue, waiting quietly at home, never asking for anything. He compares her silence to Ari's bright and eager energy. Sue has always been distant, yet loyal. Ari, on the other hand, brings excitement, but also questions he cannot answer. Ari waits for his response. Minchul smiles faintly, unsure of his own heart, but her warmth makes him speak honestly. He tells her about his struggles and how he lives off help from family. Ari listens carefully and assures him that none of it matters. She accepts him as he is. Slowly, he agrees to bring her to his house. On the morning of their wedding anniversary, Sue prepares breakfast. Minchul wakes up earlier than usual and says he has to rush to work. She asks gently if he has any plans for the evening. He answers without looking at her and walks away. Sue watches him, feeling the coldness in his voice. She wonders if the day still holds meaning for him. Later, she checks her messages. He sends a short note saying he has to work overtime. She replies calmly, pretending not to feel disappointed. Her heart grows heavier, but she smiles through it. She tells herself that it's fine, that she won't expect anything. After her flower shop shift, Sue prepares to head to her part-time job. She does not know that someone is silently watching her from a distance. Beom's new bodyguard keeps an eye on her, unnoticed. Meanwhile, Minchul walks with Ari, heading towards Sue's house. Ari holds his arm with excitement, smiling brightly. She says she's happy to finally visit his home. She talks about how it feels more serious now, like they're truly becoming a couple. Minchul laughs softly, hiding his discomfort. He knows the place she will see is not warm or welcoming. It's not the kind of place someone like Ari expects. Ari does not mind. She says she will stay close to him to keep warm. Minchul listens, pretending everything is fine. He agrees to hold her hand, hug her, or do whatever makes her happy. Her cheerful tone fills the air as they walk together. At the same time, Beom watches everything unfold from the shadows. His eyes follow Minchul and Ari as they move closer to Sue's home. He speaks quietly into his phone, giving someone updates. His face is unreadable, but something in his gaze burns with quiet intensity. Minchul steps into the apartment with Ari by his side. He tells her that the place is old and asks her not to look too closely. Ari glances around the space and smiles gently. She says the place looks clean. Her eyes hold a warmth that surprises him. Her mother once said old houses never truly look clean, no matter how much they are scrubbed, so she imagines it must have taken a lot of effort to keep this one so neat. Minchul gives a soft laugh, but in his heart, he knows all the credit belongs to Sue. He gently touches Ari's shoulder and asks if she feels cold. Then, he leads her to the bedroom, saying it's warmer there. He opens the door and tells her that someone like her might catch a cold in a place like this. He says next time they should go to her home instead. Ari smiles and answers softly, saying she does not mind as long as she is close to him. They share a kiss, and as Minchul closes his eyes, old memories come flooding back. He remembers the times when Sue used to shiver during cold nights. He had once asked her if she felt cold and offered to cuddle, hoping for warmth between them, but she had turned her back and stayed quiet. He remembers feeling rejected, lying awake on his side of the bed, saying he would sleep alone. Now, in the present moment, as he kisses Ari, a strange mix of guilt and excitement wraps around him. He knows it feels wrong, but it still stirs something deep inside. Elsewhere in the city, Beom gets ready in his room. He changes into jeans and pulls on a hoodie, checking himself in the mirror. Then he steps out into the cold air and walks to a nearby convenience store. When he enters, the young clerk greets him with a bright voice. She is struck by how tall and handsome he looks, but her expression shifts as she sees the items he places on the counter. He has gathered a pile of hot packs, so many that it makes her curious. She wonders if someone is lost out in the cold or needs warming up badly. Beom calmly tells her to ring up the items, and she does so with puzzled eyes. She softly asks if he is going hiking. Beom shakes his head and tells her it's not for that. He says he needs them for something important, then leaves without further explanation. He walks straight to the barbecue restaurant where Sue is working her evening shift. Outside, one of her co-workers is squatting near the sidewalk, taking a smoke break. Beom approaches her and politely asks if she could call Sue for him. The co-worker agrees and steps back into the building, then walks over to Sue. Sue turns around when her co-worker calls her name. She asks if someone is looking for her. The co-worker stares at her closely and notices the flush in her cheeks. She asks if Sue is sick. Sue admits that she has a slight fever and a cold, but assures her that she's fine. The co-worker tells her someone is waiting outside. A small spark of hope lights up in Sue's chest. She thinks maybe it's Minchul. Perhaps he remembered their anniversary after all. She quickly walks out the door, her heart beating faster. But when she steps outside, no one is there. Her eyes scan the space around her. For a moment, she feels foolish. Then suddenly, two arms wrap around her from behind. She jumps in surprise. It's Beom. She pulls away quickly, flustered and annoyed. She tells him not to call her by that nickname in public. But Beom, with his usual grin, keeps teasing her gently. Sue tries to stay angry, but a small smile finds its way onto her face. As she looks at him, she sees the sweat on his forehead and the warmth radiating from his skin. She places a hand on his face and realizes he has a fever. Her heart tightens with worry. She tells him he should go home and rest, but Beom shakes his head, saying home is not comfortable for him. Sue hesitates, then tells him to wait while she goes inside. A few minutes later, she returns, having taken time off from work. She says they should go together. Her husband had said he'd be late tonight, so she decides to help Beom rest for a while and give him medicine. As they walk, Sue keeps glancing at Biom. She worries if her tiny home will feel cramped for someone so tall. Biom catches her staring and reassures her with a soft smile. He says he's used to small spaces. Sue teases him lightly and says he finds happiness in strange things. Despite everything, her heart feels lighter. She tells Biom to come by like before and not to avoid her. She says she gets bored without the kid she used to see every day. Biom smiles, his eyes bright. He says he'll come every day from now on. Sue feels a warmth in her chest at his words. His smile seems innocent, and it draws her in without effort. They arrive at Sue's small basement apartment. As she reaches for the door handle, something feels wrong. She pauses. Light seeps out from under the door, and along with it, faint sounds echo through the hallway. Soft moans, low and unmistakable. Sue stands still outside her apartment, her fingers trembling on the door handle. Her heart races, and her body begins to shake. Behind her, Biom's voice speaks in a cold and steady tone. His words cut through the silence like ice. He tells her not to run. He tells her to face it and listen until the end. The air around her feels frozen, and his words hit harder than anything else. Her fingers curl against the handle. Her whole world feels like it collapses under the weight of truth. The love she once believed in, the past she had protected for so long, all seem distant now. The warmth she held onto feels like a fading dream. Her chest tightens, and she starts crying, pleading with him to let her go. Her hands twist against the handle, trying to force the door open. Biom steps back silently, watching her. He thought she would run away, but instead, she faces it. He waits quietly, unreadable, as she bursts through the door. Inside the bedroom, Minchul and Ari lie together, tangled in a private moment. Ari speaks in a gentle, teasing voice, not wanting to go home yet. Minchul sighs and tells her they both have to work tomorrow. Her playful tone continues, trying to make the moment last. Just as their laughter fades, the door slams open. Sue stands there, trembling, her voice trembling louder than any sound in the room. Minchul and Ari both freeze. Ari quickly pulls the blanket around her, startled. Sue's presence fills the space like thunder. Minchul turns pale. Sue steps forward, her voice breaking as she asks him if she is just a family member to him now. Her words pierce the room, shaking everything that remains between them. She pleads, her voice caught between pain and disbelief. Ari watches, confused and annoyed, not understanding the full situation. Minchul stammers, completely thrown off. He mumbles questions, unable to hide his panic. Sue continues, her voice becoming more emotional. Her hands shake as she grabs him, asking if 13 years of their life together now mean nothing. Ari quickly dresses and scoffs at the scene, feeling uncomfortable and disgusted. She storms out, muttering insults under her breath. Minchul chases after her, desperate to explain himself. In a panic, he yells excuses down the hallway, shouting after her that it was nothing serious. But Ari does not turn back. In his desperation to escape, Minchul throws Sue under the bus. He shouts that they are not even family. He says they're strangers. Sue freezes in place, the word stranger ringing through her chest like an explosion. She repeats it quietly, not believing it. Something inside her breaks. She grabs his hair with fury, shaking with grief and rage. Minchul yells at her, telling her to let go, but she cannot. She cries out, asking how he could say such cruel things to her. Then suddenly, he hits her. She falls to the ground. He stands over her coldly, telling her that he got tired of their life together. He admits to seeing someone else. He does not hide it. He says it's happened more than once. He tells her she can leave if she wants. Then he walks out angrily, still muttering curses under his breath. Sue lies on the floor, her body curled up tightly. Her fingers brush against broken glass on the ground, shards of a rose-shaped ornament. The sharp edges reflect memories that now feel too painful to carry. She presses her hand against her chest, gasping from the pain that feels deeper than anything physical. Minchul reaches the street where Ari walks ahead. He calls out to her, begging her to stop. She glares at him, not hiding her disgust. He pleads, trying to protect his image. He says he only kept his past hidden because he thought she would not accept him. Ari snaps back, furious that he never told her he still lived with his ex-wife. She reminds him how obsessed Sue seemed, the way she even came to his office. Across the street, Biom stands hidden in the dark, watching them. His hood hides his face, but his eyes are sharp. He sees everything. His heart fills with anger. He imagines hurting Minchul, punishing him for the years Sue had wasted, for the light in her that had been stolen. But Beom does not move. He does not step forward. A bitter smile forms on his lips. He knows that pain like this cannot end quickly. It must go deep. It must unravel everything. He wants Mincheol to be destroyed slowly, the same way Sue had been, piece by piece. He turns back toward the apartment. Inside, Sue still sits on the floor, tears soaking her clothes. Her arms wrap around her legs as if to protect herself from everything collapsing around her. She sobs quietly, her shoulders shaking. The apartment feels empty and cold, the silence pressing down on her. Beom kneels beside her. He does not speak right away. He watches her cry, his face calm and steady. After a long pause, he tells her to stop crying. He says her eyes will hurt and her throat will get sore. His voice is soft, not demanding, only filled with quiet care. Sue leans into him, burying her face into his shoulder. Her tears wet the fabric of his hoodie. His arms wrap around her slowly. He does not say anything more. He just stays there, beside her, letting her feel safe again. If only for a moment. Sue lies on the hospital bed, her skin pale, her breath calm as she sleeps. The sunlight touches her cheeks gently. Beside her, Beom sits quietly on a small stool, watching her face with soft eyes. His hand strokes her hair slowly, as if making a silent promise only he understands. Inside his mind, his thoughts repeat clearly. He will erase every trace of pain. Every wound she carries will be healed, as long as she keeps breathing. After some time, he rises from the chair, his eyes still fixed on her peaceful face. He steps out of the hospital room. Outside, Jay stands quietly by the door. When he sees Beom, he gives a respectful nod. Jay speaks with calm sincerity, but Beom only listens in silence. Jay mentions the fever shot, the rest Sue needs. Beom does not smile. The fever was serious, and the signs had been there for some time. She did not even take a break. Jay's voice becomes hesitant, unsure how to explain the kind of life Sue must be living. He says he cannot understand how someone can be so stubborn, even in pain. He asks Beom again about his earlier question. His tone is honest. He just wants to be prepared. Beom's eyes grow darker for a moment. Then he speaks in a calm tone. He says, "It is time. They are going somewhere." Jay blinks in confusion. When Beom says they are going to the flower shop, Jay looks even more surprised. At the flower shop, the bell rings softly as Beom walks inside. Hajang, busy behind the counter, speaks without looking up, thinking it is a customer. But when she lifts her eyes, she recognizes him right away. "The rose guy," she mutters under her breath, confused by his presence. Beom explains that he is not here to buy flowers. Today, he has come to work. He is here to help because Sue is not well. Sue's co-worker stares at him surprised. She asks if Sue is really sick. It's rare for her to miss work. Then her eyes linger on Beom's face, her thoughts swirling. What kind of connection does this man have with Sue? She shares a glance with her boss. The boss smiles, finding the whole thing amusing. The suggestion is made to send Beom away, but then the owner laughs. With that handsome face, it might be better to keep him here. He could attract more customers. Hwajong frowns, not pleased with the idea. She argues that working here is not something easy. It's not something a stranger can learn quickly. The boss then jokes, if Beom cannot work inside, maybe he can wear a mascot costume and help from outside. Hwajong panics. That would hide his face, and she does not want that. The boss laughs again, teasing her gently. Beom listens to all of this and finally asks if they are done talking. Hwajong apologizes, handing him a cardboard sign. She gives him instructions and Beom accepts silently. He walks outside, straps the sign around his neck, and begins his task. A small girl, barely 6 years old, walks up to him. Her eyes shine as she greets him. He smiles softly, asking if she likes flowers. She nods quickly. She turns to her mother and points toward Beom. She says she wants to buy him. The mother becomes flustered and apologizes, but Beom smiles again and says he is already sold. The girl does not understand at first, but then nods seriously. She says she already bought a kid at kindergarten, so it's fine. Beom chuckles. He tells her to take care of that other kid. From nearby, Jay watches this strange exchange. He stands with folded arms, remembering a moment from his past. He thinks back to a conversation with the chairman, the man who hired him. The chairman had said that Beom acts in strange ways. Jay's job was to report anything unusual. But now, watching Beom handing flowers to children and wearing a sign around his neck, Jay does not know what is considered strange anymore. Everything Beom does is strange. He quietly wonders what he should report. Nothing makes sense. Back at the hospital, Sue stirs. Her lips move slowly. In her sleep, she murmurs a name. Her voice sounds soft and tired. Then she wakes up suddenly, her eyes wide and alert. She sits up, confused, heart racing. She looks around and finally realizes where she is. She's in a hospital. She tries to remember when she came here. The clock on the wall shows 4:40 p.m. She grabs her phone and quickly dials her boss. When the call connects, she starts apologizing. She says she missed work because something happened and she was not feeling well. Before she finishes, her boss cuts her off gently. He tells her not to worry. Her substitute is handling things well. Sue pauses, confused. Substitute? She does not understand. The boss seems busy and says there are many customers, then ends the call. Sue sits with her phone in hand, unsure of what is happening. She tries to understand who covered for her. Outside the flower shop, Byum stands with Jay again. The wind is soft and cool. Byum checks his phone and sees a message. He reads it quietly. Sue has woken up. Jay asks if something's wrong. Byum nods. He says she's awake. He had hoped she would rest more. Then he asks Jay a question, if he has ever worked in a barbecue restaurant. Jay frowns, unsure how to respond. Byum chuckles, saying it does not matter. He has a job for Jay. Jay sighs. He jokes about the cost of his labor. Byum smiles and promises to include a night shift bonus. Jay shakes his head, watching Byum walk away. He still does not understand him. Whether it's kindness, curiosity, or something else, Byum is a puzzle. Back in the hospital, Sue finishes changing clothes. She tries to gather herself after the confusion. As she fastens the last button, she senses someone behind her. Turning quickly, she sees Byum standing there. He places a gentle hand on her forehead, checking her temperature. His touch is soft, careful, steady. Sue sits on the edge of the hospital bed, her fingers still brushing over the blanket. Byum stands close, watching her with a gentle smile. His voice sounds playful, but there is care in his eyes. She blinks, still a bit dizzy from resting too long. He steps nearer, asking if she really feels okay. He gently places his hand on her forehead again. Her temperature is a little high, but Sue shakes her head and insists she's fine. She wants to go home. Byum raises one eyebrow and asks softly if she's really returning to that place. He refers to Kang Minchul, not with anger, but with quiet concern. Sue pauses. Her hands stop moving as she fixes her hair, and her eyes drift away. She admits she does not know anymore. She cannot even find the right word for what Minchul is to her now. While tying her hair, memories return, moments from long ago when her life felt simple and full of warmth. Back then, Minchul's presence gave her strength, but that warmth has turned cold. Her heart still clings to those happy fragments even though everything else has fallen apart. She whispers the truth. He was the one bright moment in her life full of pain. Even now, she waits, thinking he might come back. Her voice wavers. She wonders if she should be angry or forgiving, but in her confusion she feels foolish. She laughs softly, but the sound feels hollow in the quiet room. Byum moves closer and places his hand gently on her shoulder. His voice is calm and steady. He tells her that love is not something that disappears easily. Her eyes widen. She looks up at him, surprised by his understanding. He nods, his gaze warm. She frowns, still unsure if she should believe him. She says he's strange. He smiles and lightly brushes a loose strand of her hair. Her cheeks grow warm. She looks away quickly, embarrassed. She tells him she tied her hair without looking in the mirror. Byum's phone buzzes then. He checks it, and a name flashes on the screen. Sue notices. It's Heji. She asks about it, her voice low. He stares at the screen for a second and then puts the phone away. He says it's not important. He does not want to talk about it. Sue watches him, silent. She speaks gently, sharing how she used to only get calls from debt collectors. But now, calls can carry something more. Someone simply wanting to hear your voice. Her words hang softly in the air. Byum says nothing about the call. He waves it off. Sue smiles faintly and teases that he should have answered. She says the caller probably likes him. Byum laughs. She asks again, playfully pressing the topic. He finally admits it might be true. Sue's tone turns teasing again. She says most men and women cannot stay just friends. Byum leans in, his voice lower now. He asks what that makes the two of them. They talk every day, meet after work, share quiet moments. His breath brushes against her skin and Sue freezes. Her heart beats faster. She tells him not to speak like that. She calls him a kid, but Byum does not back away. His eyes stay on hers. He reminds her that the girl Minchul was with looked even younger. The mention of Minchul makes her flinch. She pulls back. She says no one could like someone like her. But Byum's voice softens and he steps closer. He tells her he does. Her eyes widen. She stares at him. She says he is not joking, is he? He does not move. His lips hover close, his breath warm. He tells her again that he's serious. Sue stands up quickly, covering her ear, saying it tickles. She does not want to hear any more, but Byum watches her with a soft smile. He knows she's pretending not to hear. He wonders how long she will keep pretending. As they leave the hospital, Sue suddenly remembers the hospital bill. She turns to ask how he paid for everything. Beom answers casually. He used his saved money. She scolds him gently. He should not have used money like that. She says she'll pay him back. He teases that he'll remind her every day. Sue checks the time and says she needs to go to her restaurant job. Beom tells her not to worry. He already sent someone to fill in for her. She looks at him, surprised. He says it's someone older. She raises an eyebrow, suspicious. He grins and says everything is under control. At the restaurant, the scent of grilled meat fills the air. Customers talk and laugh, but many have their eyes on the man working behind the counter. Jay, wearing an apron, moves smoothly around the grill. He flips the meat perfectly, the flames dancing at his fingertips. People whisper, amazed by his calm and skillful cooking. Later, when the night gets late, one waitress looks at the messy table covered in empty bottles. She sighs, wondering when she'll be able to clean it. Before she can lift a finger, Jay quietly appears behind her. He gathers everything with ease. She turns to watch him, speechless. In another part of the restaurant, a drunken man begins talking too loudly. Jay approaches him with quiet strength. He bows politely and asks him to lower his voice. The man takes one look at Jay's tall frame and firm expression. His voice drops quickly, apologizing. Other customers watch silently, impressed. Outside in a dim alley, Heiji paces with her phone pressed to her ear. She tries to reach Beom, but he does not answer. Dongwook walks over, mocking her gently. He teases her, saying Beom probably does not care. Heiji snaps back, defending Beom. Dongwook laughs and says all men are the same. But Heiji's voice turns cold. She says Beom is not like him. Dongwook, caught off guard, asks what she means. She turns away, ignoring him. As he shouts after her, she types a message to Beom, asking him to answer his phone. Later that night, Beom stands on a highway bridge. The wind blows through his hair as he stares at the glowing city lights. His phone buzzes. A message from Sue appears. He smiles and replies that he misses her, adding a silly emoji. Her answer comes back quickly, telling him to wait until tomorrow. Jay walks up and stands nearby. He says he has something to tell Beom. Beom does not look away. He tells Jay to go ahead. The eldest son is coming back to Korea after a long year. The chairman calls for a family meeting and asks for everyone to be there. Beom finally looks up, his smile fading as he flicks his lighter open. The small flame reflects in his dark eyes. A year has passed already. Jay nods quietly. Beom lets out a hollow laugh. The chairman cares about family now? Since when? He closes the lighter with a sharp click and glances at Jay. He says when his brother sees him, even the Korean food he missed won't taste good. Jay laughs weakly. The tension between the brothers feels thick. Beom's laugh is bitter. He wishes the plane bringing his brother would explode midair. Jay asks what Beom plans to do now. Beom plays with the lighter and says to tell his brother he is dead. Jay freezes, surprised. Beom's tone is almost teasing. He asks if Jay thinks he is joking. His brother would love that lie as a welcome gift. Outside the Ari's housing building, Minchul stares at his phone, frustration growing with every failed call. The robotic message plays again. The person is unavailable. Please leave a message after the beep. He curses quietly, rubbing his temples and pacing. Why does not she answer? Is she ending things? Is she trying to ruin his reputation at work? Desperation tightens around his chest. He leaves a voicemail, apologizing and begging for a response. His jaw clenches as he looks up at the building. Sue is not coming to the office. Is she even home? Suddenly, something small hits him on the back of the head. He spins around, hands raised in defense. A bag filled with soju bottles hangs from Ari's hand. Her glare burns with anger. Minchul takes a cautious step forward, hands raised as if to calm her, but Ari pulls away sharply, telling him not to touch her. Her voice cracks as she reminds him of the betrayal, of the woman he slept with while he was with her. Minchul's face twists with pain. He swears he never crossed that line. She laughs bitterly through tears, not believing him. She pounds his chest, sobbing and demanding to know if she should believe his lies. Minchul gently catches her wrist, holding her hand still as he admits the truth. He lived with that woman because of circumstances, but never crossed the line while with Ari. The divorce is real, he swears. Her breath catches as he speaks, voice breaking. He says he knew she'd leave him if she found out, but he did not want to hide anything. He cups her face tenderly, brushing away her tears with his thumbs. He tells her not to worry, that he won't come back anymore. He urges her to stop drinking so much, knowing she cannot handle alcohol well. She should eat breakfast and hangover soup. His voice drops to a whisper as he tells her to meet someone better than him. His hands fall away and he takes a step back. He apologizes for being a loser with nothing to offer and a messy past. Before she can answer, he turns and walks away, shoulders slumped, disappearing into the night. Ari stands frozen, heart pounding as his words crash over her. She whispers that it's all a lie. Knees shaking, she clutches the soju bag like a lifeline. She calls after him, voice breaking. Then she drops the bag and runs after him, throwing her arms around him from behind. Her sobs are loud and uncontrolled. She calls him names, calling herself pathetic as she clings to him. Later, at Sue's apartment, she steps inside exhausted. The mess weighs on her, and she smiles bitterly at the shabby state of her home. Her eyes fall on the scattered condoms on the floor, evidence of Minchel's betrayal. She picks them up carefully and breathes shakily. Anger and despair rise inside her. She imagines talking to her younger self, asking if she ever thought this would be her life. Did she believe the promises made so easily? Her movements feel automatic as she bags up the proof of infidelity. Her body works while her mind crumbles. The ache hollowing her out feels endless. She whispers that she tried to let it all go without regret, but in the end, she could not even bring herself to touch his things. Suddenly, her phone rings, breaking the silence. She freezes, startled by the sound. Her heart races as she wonders if it's another debt collector. Even at this late hour, can they not leave her alone? The ringing continues, unyielding. A call like this must mean something urgent or someone who cares too much to stop calling. She hesitates but finally looks at the screen. It's Biom. Her breath catches, fingers trembling as she answers. Biom's voice is soft, full of relief. He apologizes for calling so late but wanted to hear her voice. She cannot find words but manages a faint reply. He asks why she is not asleep. She explains how hard it is to rest there. The nightmares have not come yet, but being home feels worse. She apologizes for troubling him. She says he is young and she's shown him things no one should see. She feels she failed to take care of him. His voice is warm, teasing lightly. He says even the cold must have been shocked to see her run away. A faint smile touches her lips. He asks how she feels now. She says she is fine, but the words sound hollow. He presses gently. She admits she is not okay. Just thinking about it makes breathing hard. She closes her eyes, clutching the phone tightly. Memories of Minchel linger everywhere, digging into her again and again. The scars life left made her strong, but the wounds caused by love make her powerless. Biom's voice breaks through her thoughts. He suggests having some fun. His tone is light but holds mischief. She repeats the word, unsure she heard right. He suggests she could fool around with a guy younger than her, just like her husband did. He asks if there is something she wanted but gave up because someone else always came first. The question hangs quietly. She thinks deeply and a faint memory surfaces. She says softly, "There is one thing that comes to mind." Outside a convenience store, Sue steps out into the chilly night. The cold air brushes her skin, making her shiver. She looks down at the lighter and cigarette pack in her hand and laughs softly. She wonders if it's the tempting idea of having fun that made her buy them. She feels a little embarrassed, thinking she looks like a rebellious teenager trying to act older. Why did she even think about this? Curiosity has always lingered at the back of her mind. She thinks back to Minchel and how he always had a cigarette between his fingers when they met. Back then, it seemed mysterious and even alluring. She remembers a moment when he told her he threw away a cigarette after just one puff. He said it was so she wouldn't breathe smoke. Her young, naive heart had fluttered foolishly. But those days feel like someone else's life now. Over the years, his white, smoky breath became a regular presence, especially on cold days. She watched the smoke trail from his mouth, wondering if it brought him comfort, if sadness could dissolve and scatter like smoke. Now, standing alone, she clutches the cigarette pack tightly. She looks for a smoking area nearby. Finding one, she pulls out a cigarette and mutters that maybe she should not have bought it. It was expensive, and it feels wasteful to throw away. She decides to try just one. She fumbles with the lighter, frustrated when it won't light. She mumbles, wondering if the cigarette is defective. Suddenly, a hand reaches over her shoulder and takes the cigarette from her lips. She spins around, startled, and finds Biom standing there, smirking. He says she's doing it wrong. Sue jumps slightly as Biom surprises her at the smoking area. Her heart races, but his relaxed presence eases her nerves. He explains how he guessed she would be there. It's the nearest store to her apartment after all. Holding a lighter in his hand, he offers to help her light the cigarette properly. She watches him demonstrate it with calm movements. The flame glows glows between them as he explains gently. She holds the cigarette but does not inhale, pretending it's not working. He laughs openly, and even though she protests, she cannot hide the small smile forming on her lips. Sue insists on trying again, saying she needs to learn. She lights another cigarette and takes a small inhale, but it burns her throat instantly. A fit of coughing overtakes her. Biom shakes his head, telling her to stop. Without hesitation, he takes the cigarette from her hand and tosses it aside. His voice becomes soft and serious. He reminds her that her body matters more than a pack of cigarettes. She stands quietly, looking at him. His hand brushes hers, and he gently takes the remaining pack from her. Their faces grow closer. The space between them tightens. Her pulse speeds up at the warmth between them. He looks into her eyes, and she can feel his words even before they're spoken. His voice becomes a whisper that lingers in the air. She tries to push the moment away, brushing it off with sarcasm. She jokes that she's too old for a young guy like him, someone with a complicated life. He teases her in return, saying he wishes she were younger so he could make her heart flutter more easily. She rolls her eyes, telling him to go date someone young, but he replies firmly, he likes older women. Sue sighs in disbelief. This boy always finds a way to confuse her heart. Then, Biom's phone buzzes. The screen flashes with a familiar name. Hiji. Sue sees it and something inside her tightens. She remembers the girl she once saw beside him. That girl calls every night. Without hesitation, Biom declines the call. His voice is calm and clear as he says he does not want to be disturbed while he's with someone he likes. He steps closer. His hand rests on the wall beside her, trapping her gently in the moment. The tension is heavy and warm. Sue feels drawn to him but still tries to hold back. She speaks softly, her thoughts spilling out. She reminds him she's just a woman with a past. She once had a husband. She almost became a mother. Her heart carries many scars. But Biom listens without flinching. He tells her it does not matter. He is called names too. People think badly of him all the time, but he does not care. He smiles, leaning his head against her shoulder. He admits he might not be as wild as people think. He would still run to her, even if it wears him out. His voice stays soft. His words stay honest. Elsewhere, under the faint streetlights, Ari stands outside her apartment with Minchul. She offers him a place to stay. She wants him to avoid that other woman. She wants him to stay with her. Minchul says nothing at first. He just looks at her, seeing the honesty and simplicity in her eyes. Later, they lie in her bedroom. The night is still and quiet, with only the low hum of the heater in the background. Ari sleeps peacefully beside him, but Minchul stares at the ceiling. His thoughts drift, filled with coldness. He finds it laughable how easy it is to fool a girl like Ari. She's sweet, trusting, and so easy to control. She does not even know how the world works. He turns his head, looking at her sleeping face. A bitter thought crosses his mind. If Ari looked like Sue, would things have been different? Would he have stayed? But even that thought feels hollow. He knows the answer is no. The truth does not change. His mind remains sharp, untouched by guilt. He thinks about how couples cling to each other, stubborn and foolish. He believes Sue is just like that. No matter how badly he treats her, she won't leave him. She will forgive. She always does. He tells himself she's beyond saving. So, for now, he stays with Ari. He will play his part until Sue comes crawling back. In a lively restaurant, laughter fills the air as Dongwook and his friends drink and chat. The table is messy, but the atmosphere is loud and carefree. The topic shifts to Hiji. Someone jokes about how she chased Biom for so long and still did not get him. Others laugh, mocking her effort. One of the girls says she thought they would end up together. Another guy claims Biom was only being nice because she was pretty. Laughter echoes again. They say Biom is no better than the rest, just another player. But Dongwook slams his mug down suddenly, silencing everyone. His voice is sharp and angry. He calls them all cowards. He says they only speak like this when Biom is not around. Then he grabs his jacket and storms out of the restaurant, leaving his friends stunned. Outside, the cold night bites his skin. He sees Hiji leaning against a wall, holding a cigarette and her phone. She looks distant, her fingers tapping away at messages that never get answered. He walks up to her and asks what she's doing out in the cold. She barely responds. Her tone is flat. He snaps at her, saying it's pathetic to chase someone who ignores her. She snaps back, telling him to mind his own business. But Dongwook clenches his jaw. He says he knows everything. He knows why Biom was so kind to her. Tension fills the quiet street as Dongwook and Heeji argue under the pale streetlight. His voice rises, sharp and full of frustration. He accuses her of clinging to someone who does not care about her, questioning her pride. Heeji's anger flares, her voice trembling but fierce. She lashes back, refusing to let him judge her when he knows nothing about her pain. Their emotions crash like waves. Dongwook's voice hardens as he accuses her of ruining everything around her because of her obsession with Beom. His words turn cruel. He calls Beom fake, accuses him of pretending to be kind. He claims all men are the same, hiding behind smiles and kind gestures. Heeji crosses her arms, her eyes filled with disbelief. Their fight grows hotter. Dongwook grabs her arm, slamming her against the wall. The harsh motion stuns her, but she does not back down. He spits out the reason he thinks Beom treats her well. Because of pity. He brings up her sick sibling, twisting it into something ugly. Heeji reacts instantly, her hand flying across his face in a sharp slap. She warns him never to speak about her family again. Dongwook's hand rises in anger, but he freezes. His hand trembles in the air, and he curses under his breath. Slowly, he lowers it and steps away, muttering that she's not worth it. He lights a cigarette, bitterness filling his expression. He says that if he ever cares again, he's no longer a man. Just then, another figure steps out from the shadows. Beom approaches calmly, his voice low but cold. He asks Dongwook why he's smoking on the street, calling him a delinquent. Without waiting for a reply, Beom takes the cigarette from Dongwook's mouth and presses it into his palm. Dongwook yells in pain, gripping his hand, but Beom remains steady. Beom turns to walk away, but Heeji's voice breaks the silence. She pleads with him not to ignore her. Her voice cracks as she asks if he has someone else. He pauses, then turns around slowly. His voice is clear and firm as he tells her yes, he has someone he cares about. He asks her to stop contacting him. His words end everything, leaving her alone in the cold. Later that night, Beom checks his phone. A new message from Sue lights up the screen. She tells him she believes him when he says he does not smoke, and she asks him not to do it again. A soft smile forms on his face as he types a promise. He says he will never smoke again, not even once. The next morning, light flows gently through the flower shop windows. Sue and her co-worker, Hu Joing, work quietly together, arranging fresh bouquets. The air smells of roses and lilies. Suddenly, Hu Joing breaks the silence, her tone playful. She leans in, teasing Sue about the rose guy who always seems to show up for her. Sue laughs nervously, brushing it off, but Hu Joing is not done. She keeps pushing, asking what kind of relationship Sue really has with him. She says guys do not just help out or wait around like that unless there's something more. Maybe he really likes her, or maybe it's a drama story where Sue once saved his life. The teasing continues. Joing jokes about the age gap, suggesting that men like Beom do not fall for women like Sue without a reason. She even mocks Sue's appearance gently, calling her pretty for her age. Sue forces a smile, but the words cling to her mind. They echo again and again. Falling in love only happens between people on the same level. Joing's voice fades, but the idea remains. Sue's hands move robotically, arranging petals, tying ribbons, but her mind drifts far away. Doubts cloud her thoughts like fog. Could Beom really see her that way? Or is it just sympathy? A tap on her shoulder brings her back. Joing points to the window. Outside, a familiar figure waits on a motorbike. It's Beom, sitting casually, watching the shop. Excitement lights up Joing's face. Sue hesitates, unsure what to do, but Joing waves her off and insists she take a break. Stepping outside, the cold air touches her skin. Beom greets her with a playful tone, calling her auntie again. His smile is warm and familiar. She crosses her arms, trying to block out the chill, but she's also hiding her own shy smile. Beom says he's just passing by, but she does not believe him. Still, she asks if he's eaten. He says yes, but something tells her he's lying. Without another word, she walks back into the shop and returns with a handful of candy. She offers it to him with a soft look. Beom raises an eyebrow, amused. She tells him the candy helps when things feel heavy. He starts to take his gloves off, but she stops him. She unwraps the candy herself and lifts it to his mouth. Her fingers touch his lips lightly. The closeness makes her heart skip. Her mind fills with thoughts. Maybe Beom only cares because she looks pitiful. Maybe his kindness is not love, it's worry. She wonders if she's just someone he feels sorry for. In that moment, all the doubts settle deep into her chest. As she moves to give him the candy, Beom leans forward and bites her finger gently. The playful gesture surprises her. She pulls her hand back, stunned. He looks at her with calm eyes and a knowing smile. Sue tells herself softly, without words, that she's overthinking everything again. In the quiet darkness of the night, Sue lies asleep. The silence in the room is soft and still. Suddenly, a cold touch brushes her cheek. Her heart begins to race as the bed shifts beside her. She feels a large, unfamiliar hand gently press against her face. At first, she thinks it's Minchel. Her breath catches, but then her eyes slowly open. What she sees makes her freeze. The hand has a tattoo, not one she knows. Her eyes follow the arm up to a face. It's Biom. His dark gaze holds hers with quiet intensity. His hand wraps around her as if to pull her closer. The weight of him beside her feels warm and real, but the moment does not last. She wakes up suddenly, her body jolting upright, breath unsteady. Her chest rises and falls quickly. Her forehead is damp with sweat. She looks around, but the room is empty. She buries her face in her hands, cheeks flushed with heat. Embarrassment and something deeper curl inside her. Her thoughts race. That dream, it felt too real. Her heart still pounds from it. Slowly, she brings her knees to her chest and wraps her arms around them. She whispers to herself in the stillness, scolding her own imagination. But a memory surfaces, the moment when Biom bit her finger so gently the day before. Her heart beats even faster. She shakes her head. Her thoughts are tangled. It's not just the dream, it's him. He behaves so casually, like it means nothing. Maybe he does not even realize what he's doing. She feels her thoughts drift to the loneliness she's known for so long. Even before Minchel left her, there were many quiet nights. She cannot remember when affection disappeared from her life. It feels like forever. And yet, that dream, so vivid, so unexpected, feels worse than any heartbreak. But no, she tells herself, nothing can compare to waking up with tears in her eyes, feeling the emptiness of Minchel's absence. She glances at the clock. Morning is still far away, but already she feels restless, lost in a mix of guilt, confusion, and curiosity. The next day after work, Sue gets ready to leave the flower shop. Her co-worker Huajong stretches, letting out a long sigh. She talks about grabbing a beer on the way home, but when she glances out the window, she suddenly pauses. Her eyes land on someone waiting outside. It's Biom again, leaning against his motorbike like always. Huajong turns to Sue with a knowing smile. She teases her gently. Does he come every day to pick you up? Sue only shrugs while wrapping her scarf. She casually says it's for safety. This area is not the safest at night. Huajong nods slowly, understanding. But Sue adds something unexpected. She says Biom is the one afraid of the dark, so she walks with him. Joing stands still, stunned by what she hears. She watches Sue walk out of the shop, still lost in thought. Outside, Biom greets Sue with a calm expression. She replies quietly, her tone tired but soft. He stretches out his hand toward her, asking her to walk beside him. For a moment, Sue hesitates. The dream from last night flashes again in her mind. Her cheeks grow warm, and she quickly turns her face away. Without taking his hand, she begins to walk ahead of him, asking him to keep some distance. But Biom does not fall back. He stays near her, saying he came because of a nightmare. Sue sighs and finally gives in. She slows her steps, lets him walk beside her, and holds his hand. His hand is warm and firm around hers. She asks if he's still afraid. He says no. He smiles as if everything is normal now. Sue shakes her head lightly. Biom, always with his playful words, tries to change the subject by mentioning the cold weather. She teases him back. Their steps fall into rhythm as they walk. Her hand stays in his, fingers curling gently. Biom watches her from the side, thinking how red her face looks. He thinks she looks cute when flustered. Later, far from them, Biom's elder brother steps off a plane. His outfit is loud and careless, red sunglasses and a beach shirt in the middle of Korea's cold winter. He complains about the weather right away, calling it miserable. He turns to his bodyguard with lazy confidence, saying the chairman will probably outlive them all. Then, with a cruel smile, he asks about Biom. The bodyguard stays silent at first. The brother waves off the thought. He says he does not care unless it's to hear that Biom is dead. The words fall casually from his lips. No sorrow, no affection, just a cruel curiosity. Rumors say Biom is dead, and that makes him grin. The elder brother hears something unexpected from his bodyguard. At first, he laughs it off, thinking it's just a joke. But then, his mood shifts. He becomes serious and annoyed, suspecting that someone is spreading false news on purpose. He refuses to believe that Biom could die so easily. Even when people wanted him gone, he always survived, stubborn like a cockroach. The elder brother mutters darkly that if Beom is still alive, he won't let him go peacefully. He wants to settle things with his own hands. After letting out a long sigh, he decides to go rest at a hotel. The bodyguard asks if he'll visit the family home, but the elder brother quickly refuses. He makes a crude joke and brushes it off, saying the place has nothing left for him. As he walks away, he waves his hand in the air, already thinking about nightlife. He wants to find women, not responsibilities. The bodyguard follows, slightly unsure, but the elder brother laughs and tells him to show him around. Meanwhile, Beom lies asleep, caught in another nightmare. Dark memories from his childhood pull him into a restless sleep. He suddenly wakes up, sitting upright and clutching his head. His breath is heavy. Across the room, a figure moves quietly. Jay stands near the scattered objects on the floor. Cigarettes, a lighter, bandages. He looks at them with quiet concern. These things do not match the expensive space. They speak of pain, of trouble, of something deeper happening. As Jay crouches to pick something up, Beom's voice startles him. He thought Beom was asleep, but now they face each other. Jay pretends to be calm and collected. Beom stays quiet, but watchful. He notices the things in the room, the roses, the clutter. He speaks vaguely, but Jay understands his meaning. The air feels tense. Jay informs him that the elder brother has returned to the country. He hesitated to wake Beom, but the news felt urgent. Beom nods and drinks some water, murmuring that maybe the nightmare was a sign. He questions Jay's decision to enter the house without permission, but Jay reminds him that he gave the door code himself. Beom steps closer, thanks him, and says he'll count on him in the future. Far away, Sue wakes up slowly. She stays in bed longer than usual. There is no longer a reason to get up early and prepare breakfast. Minchul is gone. The heavy responsibility of pleasing someone every morning has vanished. Even though her expenses have gone down, the weight of debt still looms over her. The large hands that used to demand money have disappeared, but the memories still remain. Some days she can smile and pretend everything is fine, but grief sneaks in without warning. The pain of betrayal is not constant, but when it arrives, it cuts deep. Her life carries the shape of a man who once filled every corner of it. She wonders if there will ever be room for something new. Can she forget Minchul? Her heart clenches. It would be easier if she could hate him, but instead, he remains inside her like an open wound. She walks to work, passing a shop window where a teddy bear catches her eye. She pauses. Beom's voice from the night before rings in her ears. He said he had a nightmare. He had reached for her hand, asking to be near her. That memory makes her lips curl gently into a smile. Without thinking much, she walks into the store and buys the teddy bear. She carries the bag and thinks how strange it is that she spent money on something so silly. But it's for a boy who said he was scared of dreams. That makes it okay. At the flower shop, Huajong is busy sewing something onto a small bear. When Sue arrives, she watches curiously. Joing explains an old story, that sewing a heart onto a bear gives it a soul, so it can protect children while they sleep. Sue listens, her thoughts drifting. The bear she bought is larger than this one. It feels childish to give a bear to someone like Beom, but then she imagines him hugging it while sleeping, and a soft laugh escapes her lips. Maybe it's not so strange after all. That evening, Beom appears again on his bike. Sue walks outside to meet him. She blushes lightly, and he notices. He teases her gently. She tries to brush it off. He asks if she's busy. She hesitates. She has work left to do, sewing the teddy bear, but for some reason, she does not feel like saying no. She tells him she's free. Beom does not answer with words. He places a helmet on her head. She looks surprised and confused, but before she can react, he lifts her onto his shoulder with ease. It's playful and sudden. He swings her like a sack of rice onto his bike. She protests, but her voice is more flustered than angry. He grins as she wriggles in his arms. It all feels strange, fast, and exciting.